being able to come into a space that was something that I had imagined in my mind and is now a reality is a really beautiful thing. And being able to constantly be creative and thinking outside of the box and really finding new ways to innovate, not only within the cotton candy world, but just as a business as a whole.
Hi, I'm Melanie Barr. Welcome to the She Built It experience with Melanie. Join me as I talk to women who have successfully built it, a career and business that they love. We dive into the topic of how they built it and talk about everything from having the courage to make career leaps to the details of how to lead effectively, create successful teams, implement strategies for growth, and infuse tech innovation. Magic happens when we focus on the part of ourselves and our business that brings us joy. So let's dive in. Thank you for joining us, Emily. You are the founder and CEO of Art of Sucra, which is such a fun product. What led you to create and start your business?
Oh man, I feel like we've got to go back several years to really explain the origin story. And that's all the way back in 2016. I had just wrapped up my degree at university and was planning to go on to graduate school while simultaneously planning my wedding. And throughout that process, I spent a lot of time on Pinterest. I feel like most people who are getting married do, and could not settle on a wedding favor. I have no idea why, but that was the most challenging part throughout the entire process for whatever reason. And desserts kept coming up as an option. And this was right in the peak of Instagram and really this evolution of upgrading classic desserts. So sugar cookies, donut walls, cake pops. And one option that kept popping up was cotton candy. But the only choices were scary, for lack of a better term. It had that like red clown on it. Yeah. And just really felt like for whatever reason, cotton candy was being left behind in this really massive social media shift of all of these desserts. And I couldn't let the idea go. And so instead of going to graduate school, I decided to start an events-based cotton candy business where I would go and spin cotton candy in unique flavors. So it wasn't just that typical pink or blue that we're used to at the fair. It was things like champagne and orange bourbon and watermelon at all of these events. And so I did events for 4 years until COVID, and then ended up transitioning into the consumer packaged goods space where we are now.
It's so great that you listened to yourself and that you made that leap to launch your business instead of going to graduate school. I mean, look at what you've built and created for making that decision.
Yeah. And it's so funny because most people would get really nervous having to have that conversation with their loved ones of, hey, I just wrapped this fancy 4-year degree and was planning on to go do 2 to 4 more years, depending on where things led. And now I'm going to spin cotton candy for a living. Can be a tough conversation depending on dynamic. So yeah, definitely can relate to that.
And it's fun that you put that twist on it. So it's the champagne. Was there any champagne in it, or was it champagne flavored?
You can really do it either way, which is the beauty of our product. Today, most of our glitter bombs, which is what we're really known for, is flavored champagne, but there's no actual champagne in it. It's all done through flavoring, which means that it's safe for anybody of all ages, those who can't consume alcohol. But we do work with a lot of alcohol brands that ask us to actually infuse their product into the cotton candy. And we can do that too. The alcohol just burns out, so you wouldn't become intoxicated from it, but you still get that flavor profile.
And that's so fun. And it's fun that you can do that for any age, just like the champagne gummy bears with that little flavor.
Exactly.
So tell us about glitter bombs. What are they and how can they elevate a party or event?
A cotton candy glitter bomb is a small fluff of flavored cotton candy. Like we mentioned, traditionally champagne, but honestly, at this point, we've expanded to do just about any flavor you could imagine, anywhere from apple cider, which is some ones that just launched for fall, or Shirley Temple if you're doing a custom order. Essentially, this fluff of cotton candy has edible glitter on the inside. You rip open the pouch, drop it into your beverage that's clear and bubbly. The cotton candy dissolves and edible glitter floats out, making your drink nice and sparkly with just a little touch of extra sweetness.
And if you haven't seen any of your Instagram or TikTok, it's so beautiful when the glitter goes into the drink, and it just makes it feel like you're drinking something elevated and fun.
I deal with these obviously every day, and I film all of our content to this day in-house, me and my team.
Mhm.
And I
That's so fun.
it's so fun and it never gets old. Like every time that we're dropping in a new glitter color, we're like, oh my gosh, I think this one's my favorite. It is truly so mesmerizing and fun to watch. It really doesn't get old.
I would want to do it too. And I'm sure with all the new flavors, those are really fun to taste. And it's like the sky's the limit with the flavor that you can create.
Absolutely. We own our own manufacturing, which has been a huge gift, a nightmare to get started. I won't lie about that, but it's truly a huge gift because I'm sitting in our production facility. I can literally walk out of my office down the hall and just step into the studio and say, hey, I had this idea for this really crazy flavor. Let's try to whip it up and create it. So everything can happen very quickly in-house in real time, which is just chef's kiss from a business timeline perspective. We're very lucky.
And that's so fun. You have millions of followers on TikTok. How does that feel for you, and how has that helped your business?
TikTok is the whole reason that we were able to pivot. Obviously, the world shut down in 2020, and it went from me doing events 7 days a week, being crazy, to then just staying at home and cleaning a lot of linen closets, which you can only do so many times. There's a limit to that. I started posting on TikTok, and this was before TikTok is what it is now. It was still just a lot of, oh, that's a kids app where people are dancing, and we were literally stuck in the house, and there was trends going on that way. So I just felt A, it was something to do. I was enjoying the platform as a consumer, and B, I had really hadn't seen any other businesses pop on to this platform. So I started posting there, and it happened, looking back on it, slowly and so quickly all at the same time. I feel like time did a weird thing during that period of all of our lives anyways, but it has changed my life and it has changed the business's life. And I feel like I'm in a really unique position because the business has so many followers. I do not personally. So I sit in this weird in between of understanding what it's like to be a creator, almost, for lack of a better term, like an influencer in some ways, just because we have such a large following, then also being anonymous in some ways too. It's a very weird but beautiful place to fall in the in-between.
Mm-hmm. And do you like that?
I do. Naturally, I'm a pretty quiet and reserved person. I'm much more introverted. So it's really nice to have it not really be me. There's that separation that is nice to be able to turn off a little bit more than I think I would be able to if the brand was more about me.
And you could have more of a private life. And it seems like that was great for you to not have to do events all the time when you had that shift.
Oh my gosh, my quality of life now is so much better. I feel like I can have more of a social life and I get to be with my family on holidays and weekends and in the evenings. And my husband and I are not working quite literally opposite schedules permanently anymore, which is really great. The business has scaled so much. So I have so much more responsibility now and I have many more things on my plate. But overall, the quality of what I experience day to day is so much better than it was. Events are hard. I don't think people realize that.
Yeah. And they take a lot of energy from you.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely. It's absolutely a grind. And I think that can often be overlooked.
And speaking of responsibility and operations, what do you think is the most important aspect of leadership as it relates to growing a business?
Being willing to be in the thick of it is so important. One thing that's been important to me from the beginning and remains that way is that I never feel too detached from any part of my business as we continue to grow. It is helpful because, as I mentioned, we own our manufacturing. So I can hop into the studio and get behind a cotton candy cart and start spinning with the team if we need extra hands on deck. And really understanding what it's like to be the main person in each category that we're in now is really important to me. So just staying grounded and helping my team to realize that I know the struggles of where you're at. I've been there. Let's work through this together, as opposed to not really understanding the pain points that they may have, which would be really easy to do as you continue to grow.
I've heard that from a lot of entrepreneurs about understanding every aspect of the business. They no longer do it, but like you said, they have an understanding, and that just helps where you want the business to go as it relates to your teams and building your teams. And I'm sure it gives your teams more confidence too, to know that if needed, you would step in.
Absolutely. And I like to joke that my title shouldn't be CEO. I put out fires. Like I'm just a firefighter. That's the role in the company. And it's hard to be that person if you don't understand the role in which you're putting out this fire. It's really vital to keep a pulse on all of that.
That's so true. And I know any entrepreneur listening is agreeing with you on the firefighting.
Yeah.
What would you like to see next for your business growth and Art of Sucra?
I feel like we're in this place now where we've locked in all of the big moving pieces from the pivot. And it's taken 2.5 years to do that. And I mean that from a logistics standpoint, a product standpoint, a packaging standpoint. I feel like we have our team in place. We've got the right vendors, the right team members here in-house. And so to really take those things and now hone them to perfect the business, but then also look and see where's there opportunity for growth. The cool part of our product is that it really has so many different applications. It can be direct to consumer. It can be in a store. We can do the custom orders. We can do the brand collaborations. We can activate in person. Really looking at, okay, we want to branch out into bars and restaurants and get onto menus. How do we do that? How do we start building up a team to make that happen? And it feels really good to finally be in a place where it's not just scrambling to figure out, okay, how do we make this work? Now we know how it works. How do we grow it?
And you have glitter bombs. Do you have other products that you offer?
So our business is strictly cotton candy, and it falls under 2 categories. One being just cotton candy pouches. So those are what I started the business with. It wasn't the glitter bombs in mind. It's those unique flavors and these really adorable pouches. Our packaging, if I say so myself, is some of the best that I have ever seen. My design team is world class, would not know where I am without them. And those are just for snacking. So purchase those pouches. It's just a little treat, an indulgent moment. And then our glitter bombs is the second category, which is still cotton candy, but those are meant specifically to go into your drinks.
Magic happens when we focus on the part of ourselves and our business that brings us joy. What is one way that you make sure to find and live your joy?
Being able to come into a space that was something that I had imagined in my mind and is now a reality is a really beautiful thing. And being able to constantly be creative and thinking outside of the box, finding new ways to innovate, not only even within the cotton candy world, but just as a business as a whole, brings me a lot of joy and makes all of the really hard moments and the long hours and the tears and all of that worth it at the end of the day.
You've inspired us today to trust our instincts, and I can't wait to try Art of Sucra at my next party or event. It's so fun. Can you share with us how and where we can find you?
We made it very simple for you. Everything is at Art of Sucra. Our website is artofsucra.com.
Thank you for joining us today. I'd love to hear from you. Reach out to me at hello@shebuiltit.com, on our She Built It website, or at She Built It on social. Thank you to my editor, Rich Streffolino, who always makes us sound good. Until next time, let nothing stop you from experiencing the life and business that you crave.